Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Archana Solanki. Here are the headlines we're tracking this evening. Sensex and Nifty declined for the second straight week after a lackluster Friday. Mid-caps and small caps bucked the downtrend to regain some lost ground. Auto and pharma stocks are the top losers due to Trump's tariff threats. RBI Deputy Governor Rajeshwar Rao flags concerns over excessive borrowing in the unsecured loan segment and the euphoria in the derivative capital markets. Says financial entities have a responsibility to ensure customers fully understand the risks involved and leverage products and speculative investing. A QIP conundrum for India Inc. 95 companies raised a record 1.4 lakh crore through qualified institutional placement in 2024, but shares of only 26 companies are trading above the QIP price and two-thirds are trading below those levels. Indian Oil Corporation Chairman A.S. Sani says that he is confident of receiving subsidy from the government for its LPG under-recoveries. Tells CNBC-TV18 that talks with the government are ongoing. Also says that the Oil Industry Development Fund that was announced in the budget remains on the drawing board as of now. Tata Steel's TV Narendran calls on the government to formulate a strategic policy to address risk from global trade shifts due to Trump's tariff war. Says the situation has become more dire for the industry due to Chinese steel dumping. Variable's major board sets sail towards an IPO yet again after withdrawing its draft papers in 2022. Plans to raise 2,000 crore rupees at a valuation of over 1.5 billion. However, will take the confidential filing route this time around. The Burman Group takes control of Religare Enterprises, gets designated as promoters after a prolonged boardroom battle with the ousted chairman Rashmi Saluja and staving off a counter-offer from a US-based investor. Burman Group entities now hold over 25% in the company after completing the open offer. Stock jumps 18% in trade. The US Senate confirms Kash Patel as the new FBI director, promises radical changes to the law enforcement agency that's been attacking for a long time. Elon Musk's wealth has eroded by $35 billion since the start of 2025. Gautam Adani is second on the list with a wealth erosion of $12 billion so far this year. Right, let's start with what was a tepid trading day and week on Dalal Street. Sensex and Nifty ended in the red for the second week running, losing more than 0.5%. Nifty dropped below the 22,800 mark. Mid-caps and small caps saw sharper cuts today. But for the week, both the mid-cap and the small caps index managed to regain some lost ground. Surbhi Upadhyay is here with a market wrap.
Well, thank you very much for that. Indeed, a quiet week, but one that bulls will still take with both hands. And the reason I say that is that quiet is much better than non-stop fall, which is what we've been dealing in the, in the market for the past many days. So this week was about consolidation. The Nifty over the 5 trading sessions is down slightly, just about 0.5% thereabouts. But the story is that the mid-cap index and the small-cap index, the broader market, this started showing some recovery. So the mid-cap index up about 1.6%, small-cap index up 1.4%. The Nifty has tested the consolidation zone of 22,700 to 22,800 for 5 days in a row. 5 times we've gone back to those lows, dipped around those levels and then bounced back. The good news is that this zone is still not broken. However, difficult to say whether the worst is over or not. Right now, it's probably being seen as a bit of a pause and some confidence returning back into the broader market. Let me quickly talk about some of the stocks that were the key movers and shakers on Friday. Mahindra & Mahindra has been a story for the week, actually. The stock was down 6% on Friday. It's down about 9 to 10% for the week because this Tesla fear is very real. And the market is, wondering whether there'll be too much of disruption. The stock has also had a dream rally. So people are using this as an excuse to perhaps book some profit. Nifty Bank has been an underperformer as well. At least on Friday's trading session, it was down almost 1%, leading the large cap declines. So, a lot of the large names like ICICI Bank, Kotak, Indus, and most of them were struggling throughout the trading session. Let's talk about some of the other Nifty losers on Friday. You have names like Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises, BPCL, Tata Motors, Wipro, Dr. Reddy. So as you can see, it's really cutting across sectoral lines when it comes to the large cap space. One area that has done very well for the week and actually, over the last couple of days is the commodity space. Both energy stocks and in particular metal stocks doing very well. the metal index was up and about. On Friday, by the way, Hindalco, Tata Steel, Coal India, these were the stocks that were doing very well. And for the week as a whole, the Nifty metal index has put on 5%. So that's an interesting thing to keep in mind. When I talk about the broader market recovery, where was it seen? Largely in PSU stocks. One day it was some of the defense names. On Thursday and Friday, a couple of the power names started getting very, very excited. The power space as a whole also, even non-PSU power stocks, they had a very good session on Friday. Stocks like JSW Energy, for instance. The market is still in very, very uncertain territory. It's too early to say, like I said, whether the worst is over or not. And what seems to be compounding the issue is the money that's pouring into Chinese stocks, particularly in the Hong Kong stocks, because the Hong Kong market was up 4% on Friday. The Hang Seng is up almost 18% for this year, contrasting very, very sharply with Nifty's 4% decline. So this Chinese competition, along with the continued uncertainty on tariffs and all the headlines coming in from the US, adding to a volatility. But for now, at least a pause in the selling, and that was good news on Dalal Street.
Right, thank you, Surabhi, for that. Moving on, Reserve Bank Deputy Governor Rajeshwar Rao has addressed concerns over excessive borrowing in the unsecured loan segment and the euphoria in the derivative capital markets. Speaking at the NSE's annual conference on finance, Rao said that financial entities have a responsibility to ensure that customers fully understand the risks associated with speculative investing.
Of late, we have seen some concerns of excessive borrowing in unsecured segments and from the derivative euphoria in the capital markets. The temptation of short-term gains can easily overshadow the long-term financial security of individuals. Financial entities have a duty to ensure that the customers fully understand the risks associated with the leveraged products and also of speculative investing.
SEBI Chairperson Madhvi Puri Buch said that the regulator doesn't feel the need to make a comment on the valuations of small and mid-cap indices following the steep correction in the broader markets. Mid-caps and small caps have fallen nearly 20% from their highs. This comes almost a year after Buch flagged certain pockets of froth in the broader markets.
Do you think large part of that froth is out since you had, alerted investors at the start of it?
On mid-caps and small caps, I think that at the point in time when the regulator felt the need to make a statement about it, the statement was made. Today, the regulator feels no need to make an additional statement.
Crude oil prices remained on track for a weekly gain. This as falling inventories of US gasoline and distillate raised expectations of solid demand. Concerns over supply disruptions in Russia also supported prices. Similarly, gold prices are also on track for the 8th straight week of gains. This as concerns over US President Donald Trump's tariff threats continue to fuel safe haven demand. Indian Oil Corporation's chairman A.S. Sahni said that the company is confident that it will receive LPG subsidy from the government to make up for under-recoveries incurred. Speaking exclusively to CNBC-TV18, Sahni said that economic considerations will dictate any decision regarding procuring more crude from the United States. Take a look.
Once we have been given the subsidy amount of something around 22,000 crores or something for the industry in 22-23. And now again there is some deficit, and we are very much confident, and our government is totally seized to the situation. And we are in talks with them, and we are very confident that by the end of this quarter we will be in a situation wherein my balance sheet will be healthy enough to support my working capital as well as my capex requirements. Availability is not an issue today. Availability of energy, availability of crude is more than what is required by the world today. So that supply demand is driving the total cost of procurement of crude for me and for other OMCs also. Any crude coming to India will come on economic considerations only. That is one. We will have intent. The intent has been given by government. We will follow that intent. But any decision of crude procurement is taken based on economics only. That is the only driving force for me.
India needs a strategic policy to address risks faced by manufacturing companies. That's the word coming in from Tata Steel CEO on Trump's tariff war. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, TV Narendran said that US tariffs will impact India directly through exports. He added that America's actions have made the situation more dire for the industry due to Chinese steel dumping.
So most countries and geographies are going to look out for themselves for sure, right? So we as a country obviously need to look out for ourselves. We also need to take a longer term view because supply chains are getting optimized differently. Earlier it was just getting optimized on cost. Now it is getting optimized looking at the strategic value of manufacturing value chains and other value chains. So I think we need to look at it from that perspective. The tariffs in US will impact us directly and indirectly. For whatever we export as a country, it matters what the tariffs are. As Tata Steel, we also export from Europe to the US. So there is a direct impact from that point of view. The indirect impact is whatever doesn't go to the US ends up somewhere else. So which will have a bearing on international prices and it will have a bearing on the margins in India. So I think one needs to really look at this strategically and have a policy which addresses the risks that manufacturing companies and other companies are getting exposed to because of this situation.
What is the status of the anti-dumping duty that the industry has constantly been asking for? What is the timeline? Do you have any sense?
So I think we've represented to the government for some safeguard duties. We've had a lot of conversations with the governments and they're looking at it very seriously. I think there were a number of queries which we've answered as an industry, as Indian Steel Association. So we're hoping that we will have some news sooner than later because this is a problem which has been going on actually for almost 2 years. China has been struggling to recover and has been exporting more than 100 million tons of steel and its impact is being felt. So I think, and now with the actions being taken by the US government, the situation has become even more dire.
Right, onto a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Electronics brand Boat is planning to hit the Dalal Street in the next fiscal year. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the company is planning to raise 2,000 crore rupees. This is the second time the company is planning to make its market debut. Rachna Dhanrajani joins us now. Rachna, what are your sources telling you?
Right, we have learned from our sources that consumer electronics brand Boat is making yet another attempt at going public. And this time it's planning to raise 2,000 crore rupees through an IPO that is planned in FY25 and 26 at a valuation exceeding $1.5 billion. However, we also understand from our sources that valuation could be a sticking point. But this comes after almost 3 years when the company made its first attempt before ultimately withdrawing while the amount of the fundraise is essentially the same. But what's different this time is that unlike the last time, Boat is now going to take the confidential filing route, just like food delivery giant Swiggy did for its IPO last year. The confidential filing is expected sometime next month. This comes at a time when Boat's revenue fell 5% in FY24 to about 3,000 crore rupees. But the company's silver lining came in when the losses were halved to about 70 crore rupees and reported a positive EBITDA. While its audio segment remained flat in H2 FY24, Boat still holds a 26.7% market share in India's wearables market. Sources also indicate a consolidation is underway in the sector, with Boat seeing a sales boost during the Diwali season after several sluggish quarters. But the question is, why the confidential way? This confidential method was introduced by SEBI in November 2022, allowing companies to privately submit their IPO documents, keeping sensitive information under wraps while evaluating the market conditions. There are 3 key reasons why companies take this route. First, it helps them protect their information from competition. So if a company decides to delay or cancel its IPO, its financials and business strategies remain undisclosed to its rivals. Second, it provides greater flexibility in IPO timing, giving companies 18 months to launch their IPO after SEBI's observations have come in, compared to the usual 12 months. And third is that it shields them from public scrutiny, speculation, investor concerns, and potential legal challenges. All of it makes sense for Boat, considering this is their second attempt at going public, especially because the first time, apart from the market conditions, there were concerns about its China manufacturing links and its rise in business after the ban of Chinese goods by the government had come in during COVID. Swiggy also recently took this strategy and took it for their IPO strategically well, as we saw it play out. So we will be watching out how the Boat IPO plays out.
Right. Thank you, Rachna, for that comprehensive update. Time for a short break. Coming up next, a QIP conundrum for India Inc. Share price of about 2/3 of the companies that raised funds last year is now below the QIP price. More details when we return. Welcome back. Last year saw India Inc. go on a fundraising spree with stock markets touching record highs. 95 companies raised nearly 1.4 lakh crore rupees through qualified institutional placements. But 2/3 of these shares are now trading below the QIP price. Nimesha is here with more details.
With sharp fall in the broader markets and putting the spotlight on the companies that raised funds via QIP in the last 12 months. Interestingly, the Indian companies, more than 90 companies have raised funds via QIP, and the cumulative amount raised is close to 1.4 lakh crore. But with the kind of sharp sell-off we have seen in the broader market stocks, that value of those fundraising has now fallen below 1 lakh crores, which means there is a cut of nearly 27 to 30% from the QIP price for all these companies. Interestingly, there are only few companies which are still trading in the green, so the ratio is close to 1:3. One stock is in the green and 3 stocks from the QIP price is in the red. Some of the notable gainers after the QIP issues are the likes of, say, Lloyd Metals. That stock is still up 71% from the QIP price. Others like Coforge up 69%, Wockhardt is up 27%, and the likes of PG, Polymedicure, and Sham Metallics are the few stocks where the stocks are still trading above the QIP issue price. But there is a long list of stocks where the stocks are trading much below the QIP price as well. Among the larger names, the first stock on my list is Zomato. That company raised close to 8,500 crores in the QIP, and the stock is now trading below the QIP price, almost down 8%. Adani Energy Solution is another name to watch out for. The company raised close to 8,300 crores via QIP, but the stock is now down nearly 31% from the QIP price. Similar is the case with Varun Beverages. Samudra Motherson is another name. From the QIP price, the stock is still down 31%. And the likes of Godrej Properties and Prestige Estate are the few names where the stocks are trading much below their QIP price. So there has been a clear damage in a lot of these companies which have raised recent funds via QIP in the recent past. But what to watch out for would be 3 important things. Largely, when the company raises funds via QIP, it's essentially used for 3 or 4 major things. One, of course, is the debt repayments. You need to track if the companies are paying debt. In that case, the earnings will get impacted in a positive way in the very near future. So that's the first thing to track. The second would be, are they doing a capex? In that case, the positive impact may come over the next 3 to 4 quarters. And the third potential fund proceeds could be for inaugurating growth. So that's another thing to watch out for in these companies where they've raised funds via QIP. But the bottom line is nearly 2/3 of the companies which have raised money in the QIP in the last 1 year are trading much below the QIP price.
Thank you, Nimesh, for that. Over 50 Indian deportees from the United States are being housed in Panama currently. The migrants are being held in a hotel along with over 250 others of various nationalities. The deportees are receiving medical attention and food as part of a migration agreement between Panama and the US. However, they are not allowed to leave the hotel while international authorities arrange for their return to the countries of origin. Many migrants were seen holding signboards from the window reading "Help." The Indian Embassy in Panama has said they have gained consular access and added that the deportees are safe and secure. India and Pakistan reportedly held a flag meeting along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch district today. This was done in an effort to ease tension amid a recent spike in cross-border firing. Reports suggest that both highlighted the need to maintain peace along the borders. In global news, the Israeli military has claimed that one of the 4 bodies of Israeli captives that was handed over in Gaza is an incorrect one. They claim that Hamas sent the wrong body and has demanded Hamas return the correct body. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also ordered the intensification of military operations in the occupied West Bank. This action comes after 3 parked buses exploded near Tel Aviv. However, no casualties were reported. White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz has said that Ukrainian President Zelensky must strike a deal on U.S. access to Ukraine's critical minerals. Addressing the media, Waltz said that the U.S. president is frustrated with the Ukrainian premier for not taking America's deal. He added that the insults out of Kiev about President Trump are unacceptable. The U.S. Senate has confirmed Kash Patel as the new FBI director. In his first reaction to confirmation, Patel promised radical changes to the law enforcement agency. He also warned those who seek to hurt America and said the FBI will hunt them down. Patel is a Trump loyalist who has fiercely criticized the agency he will now lead. Back home, the Railways Ministry has issued a notice to X to remove a few videos that had graphic visuals of women victims who died after a stampede broke out at the New Delhi railway station last week. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the social media giant has been asked to remove such posts within 36 hours. Meta has said that its named executive officers will now earn a bonus of 200% on their base salary. This is up from the 75% bonus that they earned previously. The change comes after a committee for Meta's board of directors found that compensation was at or below the 15th percentile compared to competing firms. The updated bonus plan will not apply to Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg. The announcement comes just a week after Meta began laying off 5% of its workforce. Adani Group Chairman Gautam Adani has faced the second largest wealth erosion so far this year. As per the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, his fortune has declined by nearly $12 billion to $66.8 billion. This is due to a 13% decline in Adani Group stock since the start of 2025. Adani is trailing only Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who has seen his net worth erode by $35.2 billion to $397 billion. And with that, a wrap on this edition of Business 360. More news and updates continue right here on CNBC-TV18.